Where does research fit into your creative process? Did you do that before you started writing this book, as you were writing it? How does that work for you?
I'm a little bit of both. Usually, when I'm first kind of feeling out an idea and trying to get my plan in place, I'll do some research then. And then as I'm writing, I often find like I completely forget my plan and go in a different direction. And so then I have to stop and research things as I go to be like, okay, could this have happened? How long would it have taken to go there? What was sort of happening in the world at this time that the characters would be aware of? So I'll be kind of constantly going back to check things as I go. And then at the end, as I'm reading everything through again, if I'm thinking like, I try to remember to ask myself, was that really possible? Is there something I might have missed there? And I might have to go back and research some more to make sure I got things right.
Yeah, I'm constantly researching. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Another interesting thing about this book in particular, I was looking at the blurb for it, and it
Mhm.
kind of sets up that Della is going to have to make a decision between her career, or she thinks, I assume, that she has to make a decision between having her career and having her love story.
Mhm.
Tell me more about putting that on the page and exploring that.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely had some misgivings about that setup. As I was writing it, I was a bit worried because I'm like, I didn't want to leave readers with the impression that I'm saying, like, you should give up what matters to you for a man. I would never want to suggest that to anyone. But at the same time, I think that sometimes if you're too focused about every story being a message, a universal message for everyone, you end up sort of doing a disservice to the characters because it's not the case that every person lives their life as if it were a message for everyone else. Everybody's circumstances are specific and unique. So having set up the premise that she's starting a gambling club with her best friend and from book one to book two, that's been like a common arc of her character, what she's involved with, and that the hero has a gambling addiction that's in his past and he's now like sworn off gambling forever and never wants to go near a place again. Like this is obviously a very huge obstacle, and I didn't feel like I could realistically resolve that with him just being like fine with it and her just being like, I'm going to keep doing this and you're going to have to live with it. Like, I don't think that would be very realistic or true to the characters. So, in the end, it is something like she wrestles with over the course of the book and that keeps them apart for a while. But I also felt that it was authentic to Della's character that, the reason that she was involved in this gambling club was not really because she was like passionate about gambling or something. It was more that she wanted to help her best friend because she really loves Jane. They're very close. And it was more like Jane's project from book one. You could see that in book one that it was always sort of like Jane's thing. And Della was more like she wanted to just be there with her. She wanted to be like building something together and having that excitement. And one of the themes of the second book is like kind of overextending yourself, that Della is very enthusiastic and she sort of goes where her passions take her. But then she ends up saying yes to everything. And she's like overcommitted. It's like she's trying to help run this club, but she's also decided she's going to write a ladies' guidebook and has no idea how difficult that's going to be. She does it sort of on impulse, like, oh, I could do it. Anyone could do it. And then realizes that's no, in fact, it's a lot of work and she doesn't have this much time at all. And so one of the themes of like her sort of overextending herself is learning that like it's okay to say no to something. And maybe like the club was for her at a certain point in her life, but isn't for her forever, and that it's okay and like she's not going to let people down if she decides like actually like I think I'm at a point where I need to step back a bit now and I can't do this anymore. And that's a fear of hers, is like letting Jane down. Jane might be disappointed in her, and so she has to sort of like have that discussion with her where she realizes that no, like her friend will still be her friend. She's not a bad person for walking away, but maybe it's just not the right time in her life anymore.
Yeah, I think a lot of us have that struggle of how do I balance all the things I'm interested in, and do I
Uh,
have to want all of the things that everyone says I should want? So I think that's a really cool way that you put that into your book.
yeah, thanks. No, I think you raise a really good point. I mean, I think a lot of people like I consider myself a feminist, and I think with feminism becoming more mainstream, a lot of people have the idea of like, oh, well, you have to do XYZ. You have to be a big success in your career. And if you want children, then you also have to be like a great mom to them. And you have to be like a perfect friend and a perfect spouse to your partner. If you have a partner, like there's all you have to be doing everything. And it's like, really at the end of the day, feminism is supposed to be about choice. It's supposed to be about, equal respect and choice. So if somebody chooses a different path, that's okay too. Not everybody has to be checking all of these boxes all the time, and it's not very realistic.
Yeah, I love that.